About a week ago, I was home alone for 3 days. I had the house all to myself, which is a fantastic feeling. To be able to do anything I want, to not have to worry about closing the door when I take a shower, the whole thing is great. But you know those videos in movies where something bad happens, where something doesn't feel right, and you kind of feel like you aren't alone? Now I know this seems a little out there, but I'm going to tell you two stories that happened while I was house sitting my own house. They don't correlate at all. One happened at work and the other happened at home. So I'll tell you the work story first. It was around 10:30 p.m. and the store was getting ready to close. We closed the store at 11 on the dot, and the biggest pain is trying to get the customers out of the store. The store overheads that we have about 5 minutes left before the store closes. Attention customers, the time is now 10:55. The store will be closed in 5 minutes. We ask at this time you take all of your items to a lit register in your area, and our friendly cashiers will help you out. The store will be opened again at 6 a.m. for your convenience. Have a good evening, and thanks for shopping with us tonight. So at this time, 8 different people walk into the store. A group of 3 who were definitely on a crazy meth high, and 1 degenerate who looked super shady, and a group of teen girls. Well, the shady guy and the 3 druggies went towards shoes, and the girls went towards grocery. Guess who I followed? Believe it or not, I followed the junkies and degenerate. Now I know that sounds strange, but they interest me a little bit more than a group of dumb teen girls, so I approached the group of 3 and said, "Good evening. Hey, my apologies, but the store is actually going to be closed in 2 minutes. I don't think you'll have much time to shop." At this point, they started grabbing things off the shelf and throwing them around, saying, "We'll make this quick." I grabbed a manager and they were escorted out after purchasing some shoes. Now, where was the degenerate, you may wonder? I ran into the shoes department because that's where they like to hang out. The trick they like to use a lot is they pretend that they're looking at shoes, and then they put on a pair, and then put their nasty stinking shoes in a box and walk off with new shoes, but alas, he wasn't in the shoes department. So I ran a few aisles over and saw him looking at bikes in the sporting goods area. "Hey, sir, the store's closed right now. It's been closed for a few minutes now, and, nobody's at the registers anymore, so you're gonna have to come back later. Sorry, man." He turns to me and smiles and says, "I'll only be a minute." No, sir, I'm not trying to be rude, but we open tomorrow at 6 a.m. You can come back anytime between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m., but we gotta close down the store. At this point, the sporting goods manager walks up and says, "Sir, you need to leave." The man whips out a knife. Upon seeing this, I say, "Sir?" He looks at me and then at the manager and then snips the security screamer tag on a bike, and the bike alarm starts going off. And he gets on the bike and starts riding away. "Sir!" I yell, and he screams back, "Don't be alarmed, this is my bike." Now I almost wanted to laugh. There's no way that was an accident. Don't be alarmed as the bike alarm is going off. But I sprint after him, and he makes it to the door. But we lock them at 11, and nobody has the key but the managers, so he takes his bike and starts slamming it against the glass. I get there, and he turns around and looks at me and says, "Open the door." At this point, every employee starts standing around me to outnumber him, and I tell him that the door is locked and he won't be able to leave unless he drops the bike and waits for a manager. He screams, "This is my bike," and starts riding off towards another exit. Now, do you remember those teen girls? Well, they were still getting rung up at the grocery entrance, and so they hadn't locked their doors yet because of this, and the man on the bike was able to escape, and there's nothing we could do about it. Now, that's bad enough. I get home and go to bed. Now, this is the first night that I was home alone, and I was really irritated about what happened, but I was glad that everyone had my back. The reason we couldn't take him down is because I told the group that he had a knife, and really the bike wasn't worth our lives. The man had a good chance of nicking one of us if we got aggressive, and he looked like he was on something, so I told everyone not to chance it. Regardless, it's annoying. But I get home, and my brother's PC is on. I know this because his case glows green, and I could see it very clearly in the dark. I thought that was odd, so I went into his room and I shut it off. The next day, however, something just felt strange. I know that seems cliche, but it just didn't feel right. The day goes by, and I go to bed. I turn off the light, and I see the strange light coming from my brother's room yet again. I go in there, and his PC is on, and his monitor is turned on as well. I shut them both off, and then I get a very strange feeling, so I take a knife and start walking around the house. Now, my brother's room connects to the attic, and there are 2 doors on both sides of his room that lead there, so I check those. I check his closet and the hole upstairs, and then downstairs, and nothing's fishy. I convinced myself that maybe when I tried shutting it off the other night, I accidentally hit the restart button instead. Anyway, it was off now. The next day, I wake up and I'm actually getting ready for the second community podcast. Myself and the 3 others are in the middle of it, and my dog starts barking like crazy, which you guys are probably going to hear in the podcast. Regardless, this is something that she never does. So I ignored it because I was busy. My door was shut and I wasn't going to interrupt the group because my dog decided to flip out. Finally, the podcast ends, and I joke with them that someone broke into my house and keeps turning on my brother's PC. One of them jokes back, "Is it on right now?" I told them that I'd check after I ate lunch, so I get out of the call and I start to go downstairs, but across the way, I see that my brother's door is halfway closed. I had left it open. I open it up cautiously to see his computer is once again on. I look over at his bed, and it looks as though someone had been laying in it. He made his bed before he left, but it wasn't made now. So I run downstairs thinking about my dog and what she had been barking at, but before I even made it downstairs, I noticed it. The front door was unlocked. Now look, I'm an objective thinker, so as soon as I saw all of this, I thought 2 things. 1, someone was in my house, heard me, and took their chance to bolt out of the house. Or 2, when I got home the night before, I could have left the door unlocked. My brother's PC could have some sort of glitch, and my cat has been known to tear up our beds because he likes to get under the covers, but there were too many coincidences involved. I called the police and waited for them to come over and scan the house. When the cops got there, and I told them the story, he told me that it was very weird and was too many coincidences, but nobody was in the house but us. As soon as my family got home, I told them what happened. We got some new locks for our doors. Again, I could have just been paranoid, but I wasn't going to take the chance. Better safe than sorry. And yeah, that was my peaceful weekend. Family gone, and I had the house all to myself. Or did I?